know that Henry Cavill didn't use a stunt double for The Witcher?
Oh wow, how impressive. Even Tom Cruise boasts about the same thing when he plays his roles. And do you have any idea about how many more dull seasons of The Witcher awaits for us?
Not really. Is The Witcher going to be something like Game of Thrones?
Oh no! Greetings, my name is Alcott Scoffer, and I denounce Hollywood movies and series, as if they weren't quite a pitiful sight already. Today, we are going to discuss the new Netflix series, The Witcher, based on Andrzej Sapkowski's novels, and things that make you exclaim, "Oh no!" and denounce this pitiful adaptation once and for all as you watch it. And considering the fact that Netflix spoils everything it gets its hands on just as Hollywood does, you're in for a ride.
First things first, Triss Merigold isn't a redhead! Oh no!
I guess you are a fan of the games. Predictable. In the books, Triss Merigold has chestnut hair, so it doesn't really count.
Fresh chestnut shimmering with gold! It obviously means that she has to be a redhead, and I'll stand by that, Mr. Scoffer.
Fine. Here's a better reason to say, oh no. Henry Cavill starring as Geralt.
For me, it's more of an oh yes. Henry Cavill obviously does a very good job at playing Geralt. In fact, he is a huge fan of the original novels and loves the games as well. He did lots of preparation and was determined to get Geralt's role for himself. And by the way, his fight scenes, which he does all by himself, are actually impressive.
Geralt is supposed to look like someone who lacks emotions, a stern warrior that hides all of his feelings. Henry Cavill's Geralt looks like a very young Witcher who hasn't learned how to keep a straight face most of the time. He tries desperately to keep his emotions under control, I'll give him that. But every time some other character says something like, "Oh, is that true that Witchers aren't able to feel?" it makes me laugh. I mean, just take a look at his face. Does it really seem as if he is unable to feel? Besides, Cavill is way too sweet-looking to play Geralt. And no amount of hmms and fucks will fix that. Fuck.
He's not that sweet when monsters are around. Or Jaskier. Oh, do you know what I really love about this show? Toss a coin to a witcher, oh valley of plenty, oh valley of plenty, oh ho ho ho!
Stop! Oh no, not here, not now, not ever! Never did I imagine that I'd feel such sympathy towards Geralt of Rivia as I did when I heard that song. The most annoying song sung by the most annoying character.
Oh, but I loved Jaskier!
I am not surprised in the least. By the way, are you aware of the fact that in the books, Jaskier, who actually should be called Dandelion, since Jaskier is the character's name in Polish in the original books, is very famous around the continent as a talented singer and writer. The Jaskier in the series is, well, less successful. And you can't blame the timeline for that. Dandelion was popular for his songs long before he even became a bard officially. Meanwhile, Jaskier looks more like a promising beginner than a legend in all parts of Season 1 so far.
Oh no! Poor Jaskier. He deserves better.
The most annoying thing, though, is that there are 3 separate timelines that somehow unite into one timeline by the end of Season 1. It's confusing for everyone except for the hardcore book fans. And at the beginning, it's confusing even for them.
Oh, that's because the creators of the series squashed stories from 3 novels into a single season.
And for some reason decided to show us a slightly modified and tear-jerking story of Yennefer's rise before we get to know her as the magnificent jerk with the heart of gold.
I think that putting Yennefer's backstory in the first season helps us understand her character better. Back to the timelines! I navigated myself through the series using key points. Yennefer's studies, the transformation and career of Edim's advisor happen before Geralt kills Renfri and becomes Butcher of Blaviken. And Ciri's birth happens after Geralt saves her parents and claims the Law of Surprise. If one gets these key points, it is much easier to understand what's going on and when.
The creators of the series should have thought of a less confusing way to tell the characters' stories.
Maybe. But so far, one of the most confusing things for me is the Law of Surprise. How does it work?
Law of Surprise is an old custom of the continent. I guess that it was inspired by Polish and Slavic folklore. There are plenty of fairy tales where someone who has helped the main character asks for something said character has at home, but doesn't know about. Basically, that's how Law of Surprise works. If someone saves your life, he is able to claim something you have, but don't know about. And like in Geralt and Ciri's case, it happens to be a conceived child.
Oh no!
Oh yes. Not the most reasonable custom at all. Anyways, here comes the main question of today's show. In the epoch where Game of Thrones has set a standard for fantasy, does The Witcher manage to conform?
Does it?
Not really. It reminds me more of Xena Warrior Princess than Game of Thrones. Much cheaper, less epic, and far less unpredictable. Especially if we compare the first seasons. The Witcher simplifies the books, messes up the timelines, has a questionably fitting cast, and all of the above gets it denounced.
But we will watch season 2, won't we?
Of course we will. We will watch all the 7 seasons that Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich has mapped out stories for. As long as they get filmed, of course. But only out of respect for the original novels, and not because it somehow brings the spirit of good old-fashioned fantasy back to the screens.
By the way, the author of the novels seems to like the Netflix series.
Its existence made CD Red Project, the company that produces games about Witcher, sign a new deal with him, which allows Sapkowski to get the credit and profit from all the following shared projects featuring The Witcher. Of course he approves the series.